Hello, chosen black sheep. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. I'm so grateful you are here. In the sands of Egypt, a treasure trove of ancient texts emerged in 1945. Among these writings, known as the Nag Hammadi Library, lies the Second Treatise of the Great Seth. This Gnostic text presents a radical reinterpretation of Jesus, his mission, and the meaning of life, death, and resurrection. Unlike the canonical Gospels, the Second Treatise unveils Jesus as a divine emanation sent to awaken humanity. Gnosticism emphasized personal spiritual knowledge, or gnosis, as the path to salvation. Gnosis is the remembrance of ourselves through the awakening of the divine spark within us. Gnostics believed the material world was a flawed creation, a prison for the divine spark within humans. These texts were thought destroyed and were eliminated from the Bible because the dark rulers of the low-vibrational three-dimensional world wanted to keep us bound and controlled so that we would never know or remember the divine spark within us. The Second Treatise of the Great Seth is the connection between Jesus and Seth, the third son of Adam and Eve. In Gnostic thought, Seth held a special place. He was seen as the progenitor of a lineage of spiritual seekers, inheriting a divine spark. Jesus, in this perspective, embodies this Sethian lineage, a manifestation of divine wisdom. This lineage represents true knowledge and connection to the divine. By linking Jesus to Seth, the treatise places him within a grand cosmic narrative. He becomes the embodiment of Gnosis, awakening humanity from spiritual slumber. The Second Treatise offers a radical interpretation of Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection. It challenges the traditional Christian emphasis on the physical resurrection of Jesus, suggesting instead a spiritual liberation from the prison of the three-dimensional world. For Gnostics, the material realm was seen as a prison for the divine spark. True liberation came from transcending the limitations of the flesh and attaining spiritual enlightenment, or awakening. In this context, Jesus' crucifixion is not a sacrifice to atone for sins, but a symbolic representation of the soul's struggle against the powers of the low-vibrational three-dimensional world. His resurrection is not a physical event, but a spiritual transformation, an ascent of the divine spark back to its true home in the realm of pure spirit. The Second Treatise describes Jesus' resurrection as a shedding of his earthly form and a return to his true celestial nature. This Gnostic perspective emphasizes the importance of inner transformation over physical events. Chosen black sheep. We are divine, and nothing can separate us from the divine spark held inside us. For Gnostics, life was a journey of awakening. It was about remembering the divine spark within to liberate ourselves from the confines of the material world. Jesus, as the embodiment of Sethian wisdom, served as a guide and a model for this spiritual journey. By tapping into the divine spark within, by seeking gnosis, individuals could gain the same spiritual liberation as Jesus. The Second Treatise emphasizes that Jesus' experience was not unique to him, but a model for all humanity. It was a call to recognize the divine spark within, so that we could walk on the path of purpose, to spiritually awaken into remembrance of who we truly are. Chosen black sheep. This text gives new insight into the resurrection of Christ and differs vastly from the canonical Gospels. Instead of the traditional biblical story, this Gnostic text claims that Simon of Cyrene was crucified in Jesus' place, and Jesus was laughing at the ignorance of the crowd who had crucified the wrong person. The Second Treatise suggests that Jesus was present at the crucifixion, but in a detached and divine state, laughing at the situation from above and at the ignorance of those who believed they could harm him. The Second Treatise, like other Gnostic texts, presents a view of Jesus as a divine and spiritual being who is not subject to the limitations of the physical world, including death. This view of Jesus is referred to as Docetism, which means that Jesus only appeared to be human and his suffering and death were only appearances. This text portrays Jesus' suffering and crucifixion not as a tragic event, but as a spiritual one, where Jesus laughs at the ignorance of those who have been fooled. This text also identifies a world ruler who claims to be the only God, where Jesus laughs at this ruler's ignorance and limited understanding. For the true way of Christ is the awakening of the divine spark inside us, transcending us from this world just as Christ did. In closing, I am going to leave you with a passage from the Second Treatise of the great Seth, under the heading, I am in you and you in me, from the Gnostic Bible edited by Willis Barnstone and Marvin Meyer. It states, "The perfect majesty is at rest in the ineffable light, in the truth of the mother of all these, and all of you that attain to me alone who am perfect because of the word. For I exist with all the greatness of the Spirit, which is a friend to us and our kindred alike. Since I brought forth a word to the glory of our Father through his goodness, as well as an imperishable thought, that is, the word within him, it is slavery that we should die with Christ, with imperishable and undefiled thought. This is an incomprehensible marvel, the writing of the ineffable water, which is the word from us. I am in you and you are in me, just as the Father is in you in innocence. Chosen black sheep, we are one, through the one mind of Source residing within us, interconnecting us through the divine spark of God inside us. This is the true way of Christ, and our return to wholeness is the return of the light of Christ awakened inside us. Now seek these things inside yourself and remember I love you until next time. Jesus the Christ. Amen.